Today on I Love RV Life, I've got a neat little RV kitchen upgrade project. Real simple, real inexpensive. I think you're going to really like this. Well, hi, it's Jerry with I Love RV Life. Got a simple, easy kitchen upgrade project that I want to share with you today. It all stems from the kitchen remodel that I did, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, I guess it is now. And if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link right up here. And you can look, this will be the playlist, and you can watch all 8 episodes. If you don't want to go through all of them, you can see the opening, which will be the first episode that will show you what our plans are. And then you can go ahead and skip all the way to the 8th one, and you can see what the final project is. But even in the middle, there's some really cool stuff that you might want to watch. But Joan and I just returned from 2 months in Florida, had a great time, really enjoyed it. And we really enjoyed the new kitchen, the new setup, the new counter, the new deep sink, really enjoyed it. So one thing that we didn't like, and the more we looked at it, it was like, you know, what were these people thinking when they made this camper? Let me turn around and I'll show it to you. This is the Backsplash that came from the factory. Now, I'll step back and let you look. Does anything look interesting here? That's right. They didn't finish it. They just put this, whatever this stuff is, it's some kind of a tile, a wooden plastic coated tile. And instead of trying to make this little gentle cut right here and finish this off, you know, why bother, I guess? I mean, I don't know when it comes to these manufacturers, what they think. I mean, it's pretty, don't get me wrong. It's really nice. But if you look across the top here, it's not finished here. They put this ugly piece of wooden strip here. And, you know, we went through all the effort of making this pretty island and changing things around. And then we look at this and it is just amateurish, and I don't like it. Joan doesn't like it. So today we're going to fix it. Let me show you what we're going to use. Joan and I had been looking for several products. We didn't want to go with a standard tile for a couple reasons. Yeah, we could probably put enough glue on that to be able to get a standard tile to be able to stand up, and you got to grout it. You got to do all those things. I've done it dozens of times before in home remodels, those types of things. It's not a big deal. It's a small project anyway. But you have to cut the tiles, it's messy, on and on and on. And then, as you've heard me say so many times in our videos, we do tow our campers, whether it's a camper, it's a fifth wheel, or whether you're driving down the road in a Class C or a Class A. I call it the trip through a 9.5 earthquake. And I know we just came from Florida, the roads were great. We came back into Georgia, there was some construction around bridges, and you hit those things and bang, 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 bang. I mean, you know the drill. No matter what you do, it's going to be rough. And stuff breaks, stuff falls off. And the last thing that I want is another maintenance issue that when I get to our campground and I'm ready to chill or go start touring, to be putting tiles back up on our backsplash. What fun is it in doing that, you know? Let's do it once and get it over with. So I found this product. I talked to several other folks who actually use this in their homes and had good success with it. It's called a gel tile, G-E-L tile. This one that I'm going to show you is by a manufacturer called Tic Tac Tiles, tictactiles.com. We went to the big box stores, the big orange store, the big blue store, and looked for this. We found some, but we couldn't find the color we wanted. We wanted something that kind of matched that beige and wood look that you see over there. We wanted something to kind of blend in really nice, and you know, had some aesthetic quality to it. So we did end up going to Amazon and we found what we needed. Look, it was pretty reasonable. What we found, and I'll put a link down here below in the show notes, or if you're viewing this from my webpage at ilovervlife.com, if you look down below, you'll see a section down there that says products used in this video, and I'll put a listing down there as well where we got this from Amazon. And like I said, you might be able to find it in your home improvement store regardless. But I looked at the comments for this specific brand. I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds, and people were pretty satisfied with it. And the big issue is, how well is it going to stand up to heat? That's an issue that you've got to be concerned about. And how well does it stick? So surface prep is going to be one of the key things that we do today. But this is the product we ended up using. Here, I'll pull one out. It's really not much to it. You'll see that it's kind of a flimsy product. It has a, when you rub on it, it has a, it actually feels a little bit like a rubber tile. It has a gel, they call it a gel tile. And right now it looks like it's, you know, it's really flimsy. There's not much to it. But when you put it on a stiff surface, the whole characteristic of this tile changes. And you peel it off and stick it on. There's going to be some surface prep. I've got a little bit of demolition that I'm going to do. I'll show you that. I've got to pull that old backsplash off, and then we're going to prepare the surface. I don't know if that's glued on. I got a feeling that it probably is. I'm probably going to have to sand a little bit of that off. No big deal. And then if you look here, if you can see on the camera right here, I don't know if the camera's picking that up. I've got some buckles in this paper, and I'm going to have to peel some of that off just so it'll make sure it'll stick. And then I'm just going to use simple Windex. You got to degrease it. If you try to stick this on, the comments that I've seen, hey, I put it on, it peeled right off. I got a feeling, I got a strong suspicion you probably didn't prep your surface, because I'll go ahead and tell you, I tested this, and it's got some kind of sticky to it. So when you put it on, you need to make sure you've got it exactly where you want it. I think this is going to be a great little project, real simple. Some basic tools, scissors, a razor knife, a straight edge, and I think this is going to go gangbusters. So from here, let's remove these things. I got to take a few things off here, and let's go ahead and get started on this project. I think this one's going to be pretty cool. One of the things I'm going to want to do is get behind this surface right here. We've got this, I don't know what this is. It's supposed to be to put your knives in it. And I guess maybe they needed some gap here for the stove. I guess so, to keep, you know, heat from building up. And and they got slots in it so you can put your knives. We don't use it. The last thing I want to do is reach over a hot pot and burn my arm trying to get enough knives. I'm too accident prone as it is. So anyway, it looks pretty. I'll put it back. There was a little bit of glue when I did some investigation here. 2 little drops of, looked like silicone, and I just popped it right out. So we'll stick it back on. And I don't think I need to take all this off right here. I don't think that's going to be in the way. We'll see in just a minute. Let's get a couple of my favorite tools. Before I get too aggressive with a bunch of hammers and stuff, you've seen these. This is just a simple stainless steel wide putty knife, and if you watch the home remodel, this is a paint scraper. It's real rigid, and it's great for prying things off. So we're going to start with that, and look. Oh boy, that was tough. Nothing to that. Now this is where I think I'm going to run into an issue. Nope, I'm not. I've also got a little piece of finished trim. I want to be careful with that. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that again, but I don't want to limit my options. If I do, it looks like it's going to be a little short, and it's not a whole lot to, oh, there, it cracked. Doesn't look like I'm going to use it. I don't know. We'll see if we can salvage it. Oh, there we go. Isn't this thing great? I just love it. And I'm going to have to get some pliers and pull these nails out. Now this, I think, is actually tacked on. Look at that. No glue. That in the remodeling business is what we call a home run. So they just put a couple little nails in it. No big deal. So as you see here, it's just that, and let me warn you about this stuff right here. This is a paper. It's paper over hardwood. Sometimes when you look at this stuff, it might even be like almost like a melamine or almost like a cardboard product. It's not a whole lot to it. So I'm going to look and see if we've got any loose edges. Like I said, I've got some puckers right here in the paper. I'm going to peel that back. And let me go ahead and get a pair of pliers and pull these nails. This is probably 10 times more tool than what you need, but it was at the top of the toolbox. And it looks like I've got a couple nails. There's one. There's two. Okay, let me just kind of zoom in here and show you what we're working with, and then that'll kind of give you an idea what the next steps are going to be. Okay. what did that take? Maybe 5 minutes at most, maybe not even that, just to take those couple little items off. So now we're going to go ahead and prep this space. There's a couple things that I want to do aside from degreasing. Again, I've got kind of a puckered paper. I don't know if you can kind of see that. That's got to go. That'll cause that tile to peel up, and I don't want that. Also, there's a little bit of silicone around the edges here. I want to take a sharp knife or razor knife. I want to get that up because I want a really sharp edge coming down here. I think I've got a little bit there, a little bit there. Nothing here on the sides. I'm going to try to scoot it up. I know this is kind of shadowy. I'm going to kind of scoot it up as close as I can. Really, this is just going to be a straight cut. I'm going to drop down just a fraction here and go across that line. I'm going to, you know, get as tight as a line as I can here. Probably start here, work across. Where I'm going to have to be creative is right in here with a tile where I'll have to scribe and cut around that. And then I'll have to do the same thing right here. Nothing really big, nothing monumental, but you can see that little, the light's poor, but you can see that little dip right there. No big deal. But I don't think this is going to be too much trouble. I don't think it's going to take long either. Let's see what we can do. First thing I'm going to do is see if I can't get this silicone out that's right here. It's pretty tight. Again, I'm going to take my little handy paint scraping tool. It's got a point on it. I'm going to drag it around the base here just a couple times. Not a whole lot to it. And this stuff should hopefully peel right off. It's already started that. I'm not worried about damaging the paper here because, like I said, it's already buckled. I'm not quite sure why. Probably some water or something. Some liquid. Joan and I might have been cooking or doing something and it splashed back up here a little bit. And you want to get all these little pieces up. The other thing I've got here, let me pull it out and I'll show it to you. You may have seen these or used these before. This is just a, some people call them a decal remover. It's got this little, single edge razor blade that's in it like that. Do be careful. These things are, well, they're just, it's a razor blade. Great for scraping and cleaning things up. So I'm just going to come in here and, again, just kind of scrape this silicone right here. This extra 2 or 3 minutes of prep time can just save you a ton of aggravation and trouble later on. And you'll see this thing is starting to come loose here. You can see it's just a piece of silicone. And I'm just not sure that tile will stick to that. See what I'm coming up with? Looks like a gummy worms. You can just be careful with this. This thing is sharp, sharp, sharp. And last thing you want to be doing is bleeding all over the place. Okay, that looks great. If this is an installation where you have cooked in the past, I will promise you there's residue of, even if you've washed it down with a cloth or a paper towel or something like that, more than likely there's going to be a fine film of grease and spots, and that's going to ruin your project. You're going to go to all this effort, buying this, taking the time, sticking it on there, cutting it just right, and then the next thing you know, 2 months down the line, it's going to start peeling off. Got to have a clean surface. There's a couple things. They talk about grease removers. There's a number of products out there. You can find them anywhere. I like to use good old generic glass cleaner, Windex. This is the high price stuff from Wally World. Great value glass cleaner. It doesn't matter. It's ammonia based. The reason I like using this type of thing is that it not only will peel the grease off and really get it off, but it doesn't leave any residue. And so you don't want to use something like a pine oil type product that's going to leave a film. That again will be will prevent that glue from sticking on the back of these tiles. So we're going to squirt this down again. And I use, these are called bar towels. I pick them up at the dollar store. Usually it's a pack of 6 or pack of 10. It's like a thin white washcloth. I always keep a pack or 2 of these in the garage down below in the RV. Who knows? I use them from everything from washing the car to checking the oil to projects like this. They're just handy. But I'm just going to be very liberal and spray this. And I'm not going to just do the backsplash. I'm going to do the sides too here. And I'm going to do the top of the surface because I might accidentally drag that tile. And I'm going to actually do this a couple times until I'm happy with it. And I also apologize, you might hear the air conditioner running in the background. It's the middle of the summer and it's hot as blue blazes. So please tolerate that background noise if you would for me, please. I'm going to get all up along the top here, and I can literally see the change where I'm wiping and where I'm not wiping, that you can actually see where that grease, and like I said, I'm going to do this a couple times. I'm going to do it with this rag, and then I'm using this rag instead of a paper towel because I actually want this rough surface to scrub it. And I can already look at the color, and Joan and I have probably washed this background down after cooking, I know, several times, but we might not always use Windex. And you can literally see just that fine, thin layer of grease. I'm gonna kind of find a clean spot on this rag if there is one. And I'm gonna do it again. And you can smell in these cleaners, you can smell the ammonia. And that ammonia is what's going to cut this stuff. And the good thing about it, it's not going to leave a film. And then what I'm going to do is when I get through with all this, in case there's some cleanser that might react with the glue, I'm just going to take some water and spray on this background, on this back area. And then take a paper towel and just wipe any residue. Let's just spray it with some water. I'm gonna throw this thing away, it's nasty. This is nothing but water. And I'm now gonna get rid of any, just if by chance there was some soapy residue left, I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to look at this paper towel here under a light and just make sure that I don't see like yellow. Yellow is going to be grease, and the cloth is very clean. I'm going to save that. I've got one more thing I've got to do. All right, now I finished cleaning it. There's one more step that I need to do. In the instructions, they talk about if you put this on a painted surface, because it's slick, you won't get the adhesive quality that you're looking for here, and you need to rough the surface up. That is not paint. It's that generic, I don't know, like a wallpaper that you find in most of the campers. It's that beige, papery stuff, and you can always tell when you have it. If you ever get any moisture around the area, it tends to bubble. And it's just a very, very, very thin paper. You've probably nicked it with a chair or something like that. It's not much to it. But it is slick. So I'm going to treat that just like a paint surface. This piece of just simple 100 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to rough this surface up, and then I'm going to take a damp paper towel and wipe it down and get the dust off. So it's nothing that has to be very aggressive here. This needs to be dry to touch. And basically I'm just going to take that sheen off. And I'm going to get down around the corners. Again, that's where you're going to pucker. And you can actually see this kind of changing color. And I'm not sanding the surface off. Some people call this a knockdown in the car world. But I'm going to get in these little corners here and make sure that they're nice and okay. I can see the dust flying, and I'm just going to take a little bit of water and put on a paper towel, and now I'm going to just wipe that dust off. And uh-oh, screen popped out of the vent hood. And also make sure you get your counter too. Also make sure you get the sides, and because it's going to have some dust on it too, and you don't want to drag that towel across that. See, that's just from the dust. So, you know, clean side, dusty side. I'm going to go through this pretty quick. I'm going to use just a plastic cutting board. I've wiped it down just like everything else to make sure that we didn't have anything on it. It's just a, you know, one of those Wally World specials. You're going to need a good straight edge. I just happen to have a framing square, aluminum framing square down in the garage of the camper. Always need a good straight edge for something. Don't ask me why. I'm always, I don't know, hanging a picture or doing something, but you need something good. It could be anything. It could be a ruler, anything else. I just happen to have this. And you need a razor knife. You can use one of those $2 specials that you can get at Walmart. This, you're gonna love this. This is my, have you ever seen one of these? This is a Kershaw, a razor knife. And it has one of those little razor blades in it. You see how thin it is? And it's got a lock spring in it. I love this thing. Now it does have a clip. For goodness sakes, you'd want to clip it onto your pocket. I have no idea why, but it's thin. You never have to sharpen it. You know, if it gets dull, you just throw it away. I love this thing. And the reason I don't use the clip on it, I'm left-handed and they're never on the right side. So I just drop this thing in my pocket. But whatever you use, whether you use one of those throwaway style razor knives, or you're using the ones that you push the top out and the razor blade pops out, or you're using something like this. Don't use like a straight razor blade. You're going to have a tendency to curl that thing and take the end of your finger off. Whatever you do, make sure you use a fresh blade. You want the sharpest edge possible. If you've ever done wallpaper before, or you're doing something like this, you want a very, very sharp edge to be able to trim these things, and a good pair of scissors to be able to cut around the corners. And we're just going to have to get creative with that, with probably a template or something. We'll see as we go down the line. We'll work through that. But just make sure you got a good sharp blade. And then the other thing, there's a starter here, and I'll have to put these on. There's a starter here, and I don't know if it shows up. Wow, it doesn't. So this is the edge where I start, and it's kind of, if you can see here, here's these little blank things with no tile, and I don't want that shown. Those are for the overlaps, where you would overlap it. So I'm actually going to cut down the edge of this first tile here so I have a nice square finish, and then I don't have these little blanks in here, so it actually looks like the grout is here on the edge, and that's the reason you need that straight edge. So let's get that started. I think this is going to be pretty simple. I can actually see a fine line here, so what I'm going to do is probably do something like this to where I can see where I'm cutting. So I've got a tile here and a tile here as reference, and I'm going to kind of see how wide these grout joints are here, and make sure that it's pretty square to start with. And I think that's about it. Just take this sharp knife and just push it up against the side of this straight edge here, and cut right through that first one. There you go. Not a whole lot to it. And this has a section here, I don't know if you can see it, called overlap, and that will peel out where this next piece butts up to it. So, yeah. So here we go. Let's try the first one. And what they say for you to do is peel about 2 inches to get started. You don't want to peel the whole backing off. Well, so far so good. It's taken a little bit more patience than what I have. ilovervlife.com. Send me all the patience that you have. I don't have much, but be that as it may. You know, it's that old rule, measure twice, cut once. What I'm finding here, instead of using a measuring tape, I tried that a couple times just to look at it. It's better just to take the tile, set it up, put a little mark, and make a cut from that fashion. And in that way, you know, you can line up those little grout lines. And here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. These grout lines, you want them to be, you know, very, very close as you're putting the tiles together. And as you see here, really, I have to almost stick my nose to it to be able to see where the seams are at. And I'm pretty happy with that. Well, now is when we're going to have to really get creative. And I've got this little corner I'm going to have to face right here. Let's see, 2 more tiles is all we've got. But I've got a feeling these 2 tiles are going to probably take me as long to put these up. The most difficulty is getting your first tiles set. And that's these tiles right here, getting those set in there in place. And making sure that they're good and straight and square, because if they're off, everything else is going to be leaning or going up down the line. So far so good. I'm going to go ahead and do these next two tiles, and so bear with me. We're almost through with the project, but you know, it's looking pretty good even without that, but we're going to finish it and make it look fantastic. So here we go. Well, that's it. I'm looking at the clock now. It probably took from start to finish an hour and 30 minutes. And probably, let's say 15 minutes of that was fiddling with the cameras and doing close-ups and moving them around and that kind of stuff. So, you know, hour 15, hour and a half to do a space, you know, this big here. It turned out good, didn't it? I'm quite pleased. When you look at the overall look, I think it looks very, very nice, and looks better than this whole thing. Looks better than, you know, half of that. If that backboard would have been all the way across, I'd have never done this project, but I just didn't like that finish. But wow, it's really nice. It's going to be easy to keep clean. Just a couple things to consider that I didn't mention at the beginning of it. If your stove is close to the back, which it shouldn't be, I think code says that your flame should be at least 12 inches from your back wall if you have a non-combustible wall. And I meet that, and the directions say this should be 12 inches from open heat. Bottom line is we do most of our cooking on the front, and we've got two back burners, and we may use those for warming when we cook. Rarely do, we don't even have the room for 3 pots. I'll just go ahead and admit to that. But it looks fantastic. It's the fittings are tight. Again, just a couple points now that I finished this that I'll share with you. I worked left to right. I'm left-handed, so that's just the way I am. And I think I would have done it anyways because of this wicked little turn that you see right here. I don't think that I could have started off with this being very, very square. So regardless whether I'm left-handed or not, I would have started this left to right. I also determined that this was not square, this wall. It kind of kicks out up here at the top a little bit. So I had to take a measurement from the bottom of the microwave to the top of the tiles to be able to make sure that that was straight. The first two of these, just not being familiar with the product, were a little bit cumbersome. Determining how much to peel off. I only peel about 2 to 3 inches off wherever I'm going to stick it to, whether it's going to be the bottom or the side. With these, I peeled about 2 inches off the side and then tucked them in and then put them in. So getting those first two took just a couple extra minutes. Then I had 2 more tiles that I put in. It was just snap, snap, getting those in. I had to cut just a fraction off at the top. I think you can see enough here from the video. There's no gap there. This one was probably the most difficult, getting that little bend right there. And what I had to do was just put it across and then cut a little section out and piece it in. You can't even tell. There's absolutely no seams that can be seen. And then the last one went here up at the top, and it was a breeze. Hour 30 and 20 bucks in tiles. I've got a couple left over. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I think that just absolutely gave just a really cool finish, don't you? So again, here's a little tip and a little simple mod for your camper, just to give it that little bit of a extra step up. We went to a lot of time, but not a lot of expense of being able to do the island and making these couple little simple changes. And it just makes the RV more like home, right? And just gives it that extra little step. I love it when we were down in Florida. We had you meet friends in the campground and they walk in and they go, wow, look at your island, look at that. We saw it on the video. Several of them had seen it on the video is the reason they came by and talked to us. And I think when you see this now, I don't know if the video does it justice, but I think when you see this now, it really makes a big difference in the kitchen. And so I guess the question is, Jerry, why do you do this? I mean, why do you make your camper and change it and make it more like home? Well, that answer is really simple. It's because I love RV life.